Hey guys, this is Hao Kong, your host for Let's Talk Pack. Now, I just had my best friend Roy over here. You saw him in episode 1, and we recorded episode 2 of Let's Talk Pack. Unfortunately, we ran into some technical difficulties with the camera. Basically, the camera just shot it all out of focus, so the footage is not usable. But on the bright side, the audio turned out great. So you'll be hearing the audio version for episode 2 of Let's Talk Pack. I hope you guys enjoy it. And as always, go Pack Go. Welcome back to another episode. Yes, we made it another episode. Two, yeah, exactly.
That's pretty exciting.
2 episodes of Let's Talk Pack. And yes, you got the same 2 guys back again. I'm Hal, and I made it out alive this week. And this is Roy.
Roy, same thing.
Same thing. You know,
yeah, I did.
we're both alive. Might be coming a little late here. You know, this video might be coming out a little late. I know last week we released it on Wednesday. This week maybe Friday, maybe Saturday. Who knows? But hey, the thing is, we're here.
That's right.
And we're here to talk about our favorite team, the Green Bay Packers, right?
Yeah, so let's talk Pack.
We'll start off here with the game review, which, if you watched on Saturday, the Packers victorious against the Colts, 23-16, I believe. Actually, I'm wrong, 23-19. See, that's the thing. I can't keep up with how boring sometimes these preseason games are, but it was actually pretty exciting.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. First half wasn't as exciting, though, I feel like.
Now, I got to be honest with you. Just like the players and the coaches, they're in their preseason form. As a fan, I am too. And I actually missed a good portion of the first quarter because I'm sitting there and losing track of time. And next thing I know, I look up and I'm like, isn't the game on? And then I checked, and sure enough, it was. And then I started watching, and it was pretty bad for a while. There was a lot of penalties, and I thought, my gosh, it's exactly the same as the week before.
Right.
And then halftime turned, and
Yeah.
things were looking up from there.
Yeah. I am a big guy in not having noon games. I don't like noon games. I don't know why. It's an early start. It's an early start for me, especially on a Saturday morning.
Saturday,
You know,
yeah.
most of us are probably still waking up at that point. I know I am. Actually, I was barely awake because I had woke up early in the morning and went to go get a run in. And then I came back and didn't realize that the Packer game was on. So I actually watched the whole game. But you were right. The first half just seemed like things from the week before had carried over to this game.
Yes.
Penalties. Mainly penalties. Drop passes, I didn't see too many drop passes there, but just penalties. Anthony Belton, that's one player to kind of mention here. And
yeah, his number got called quite a bit. 5 times, I think, in the first half.
So. And he was and the thing with him is he's a very big dude. Probably one of the biggest I forget how tall he is, but
his nickname is the Escalade.
It's
right?
Escalade.
Yeah, so
very, very well. He deserves that nickname because he does look like an Escalade. And if he's running at you, watch out because he might run you over. When they're coming at you, they're scary.
They're huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Anthony Belton just couple penalties here and there, but there were costly ones. There were some that weren't needed, like just personal fouls, just things that you can't do in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Those are drive killers.
Now, some of the illegal formation ones, apparently the guard wasn't necessarily lined up just right, and then that meant he wasn't lined up right. So kind of came out later that some of those weren't necessarily his fault, entirely, but still the whole line has to be, in sync.
Right.
And they weren't.
Yeah.
So, at least not in the first half.
And from what I heard, and I remember this very vividly from last year, the refs are making a point to call out that penalty more or focus more on that penalty.
Point of emphasis.
It's a point of emphasis for the refs. Because the Packers last year, they were called, I believe, for the same thing in one of the games, and they were called multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
And I think right now in the preseason, the refs, they're kind of like the players, it's kind of like their test run in a way, but they're letting it known, hey, we are not letting you get away with these penalties like this.
In the second half, we had a few other kind of bright spots. We had two backup quarterbacks, in there. El Gersma, I don't know how to say it.
Taylor Ogersma.
Yeah, and then the final drive with Sean Clifford. But
Yeah, Clifford the Big Red Dog.
Yeah.
I always call him Clifford the Big Red Dog because every time I hear Clifford, that's all I hear. It's all I see is Clifford the Big Red Dog. So
yeah, and he had a pretty good drive on that. The final drive, the go-ahead touchdown, which was awesome.
Yeah.
What did you think about El Gersma?
I think El Gersma is actually doing really good for somebody who is not technically from the U.S. Like, he didn't play any U.S. football. From what I've been hearing throughout the broadcast and kind of doing my research, I realized that Taylor Gersma, is from Canada.
Yeah.
And played in the Canadian Football League and played his college ball in Canada. So learning a new game, learning a completely new offense.
Well, and two, apparently they can have an extra player on the field, and they have an extra 10 yards, I think, or maybe it's meters. I don't know how they do it there, but
Canadian football has weird rules.
Yeah.
Apparently, I heard that if you miss a field goal, there's something about missing a field goal and then you still get points even if you miss it. It's all very confusing to us.
But yeah, I thought overall he did a pretty good job. He had a couple, rocky things go on there. He had an interception that was called back because of penalty, but he also had a touchdown that was called back because of penalty. And when he was running with the ball, he was lowering that shoulder, and I was, kind of impressed by that. He's like 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah.
Kind of like the Escalade.
Yeah, He's a big dude for a quarterback, 6'5".
Yeah.
It's very rare to find those quarterbacks that are big and tall, who can stand in that pocket, who can see over his offensive lineman. But I do like Taylor Ogersma a lot. I do think he does have a chance. Again, it's up to the Packers, and we'll get to it later. But it's up to the Packers whether or not they want to keep him or put him on the practice squad. But I think with another good performance, he's got that shot.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, it's a coin flip right now because Sean Clifford's been in the system for a number of years and he knows it, and I'm sure he does a good job on the practice squad and running the scout team.
Yeah.
But this other guy, he may have some upside that Sean Clifford may not.
Right.
So when it comes down to it, you got I saw a couple of those cannons in there. He was just zinging it.
Zing it, yeah. And I mean, I think to Sean Clifford's benefit too, I think he's got a chip on his shoulder. Just because last year he went into training camp as the number 2 quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And
came out of it? No.
Came out of it with nothing, but ended up on the Packers practice squad. Now, going back to Malik Willis, Malik Willis this preseason hasn't been the best. I mean, it isn't the Malik Willis that we saw last year in the regular season where he was lighting up defenses and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's doing the same things. He's running with his legs and things like that. But just through the first 2 games, it just seems like the Packers' first-team offense hasn't really done much. I mean, you're looking at 3 points scored in the first half for the Packers.
Yeah.
No touchdowns.
I did hear Malik Willis. Did he throw a touchdown that was called back?
Yes, he did throw a touchdown.
Okay, because I didn't see that part.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's just, do you feel comfortable with the Packers' first and second team offense just not putting up numbers in the preseason, or is it just the fact that to them it doesn't really matter?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm comfortable with it. Just game time is still 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
And as long as the first team and anybody that has to play from the second team can put up some points, then that's what really matters.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is worrisome, but I think that overall, not as big of a deal as it could be.
Again, second half, Packers kind of turned it around. Matt LaFleur just lighting up, and I'm not going to use any swear words because if you could read lips, Mr. LaFleur wasn't very fond of Anthony Belton and his penalties.
Yeah, rightfully so.
Yeah, just right in his ear. I'm guessing he probably got an earful, and I'm guessing the whole locker room, the whole team got an earful from LaFleur too. during halftime to a point where they were like, no, we're not going to get any penalties. We're going to turn it around in the second half, and look what the Packers did.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. The second half was actually worth watching. It was fun. It was enjoyable. And yeah, at that last play of the game was
Yes,
pretty
I was going to
interesting.
bring that up.
Yeah, it was for a moment there. You thought, okay, well, he caught it at the 1, and then you watch the replay and you're like, okay, I think that might be a touchdown. And then you find out it's actually an incomplete pass.
Right.
And you go, well, whatever it is, we won. But
Right.
even if that would not have turned out the way it did, I still would have considered that game a victory for the Packers because it was actually good football in that second half.
Amazing victory by the Packers. Victory Sunday, I'm guessing, for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, unless if you are out there and you celebrate on Saturday night, which you're more than welcome to celebrate on Saturday night. I mean, most people do sometimes. But yeah, just a great victory by the Packers. We'll move on here to looking forward into this next game here against the Seahawks. But first, we'll kind of talk about practice and what's going on at practice. Now, the Seahawks coming to town here, they just got into town and they had a joint practice today at the time of this recording. And things got a little rowdy.
Yeah. Not just once, but multiple times. And
right.
Not just from the defense to the offense or the offense to the defense, but both.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a pretty intense thing from what I read. I wasn't there. I didn't watch it, but the fact that someone got kicked out, I think it was Zach Tom got kicked out.
Zach Tom, yep.
Yeah.
Zach Tom wanted to hand out some knuckle sandwiches.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you can't hand out knuckle sandwiches with people who have helmets on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's your top offensive lineman there. You've paid him the big money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to throw a punch out there and throw a punch at a player that has a helmet on, I don't think that's a good idea. One, you're going to have a big medical bill, which I'm sure he's got enough money to pay for and cover. I mean, that's fine.
Probably.
But then you're looking at maybe a broken hand, probably missing a couple games. Again, not the best idea.
Maybe some fines. I don't know.
So. And just to say from the words of Allen Iverson, we're talking about practice. Practice. Practice is just these inter squad practices sometimes kind of scare me a little bit just because things get physical.
They do. And I feel like this is not just this year's joint practice. I feel like every year that we've had these joint practices, there's been a fight, and we've heard a lot about it. And I'm glad that no one's walking away with injuries, but I'm kind of excited to see what the game will be like, to see if that chippiness is going to still transfer over to the game.
And I don't know where this aggressiveness came from. Maybe it's the fact that when you're at practice, you're going against your own man, it's your own teammate and things like that. But when you're going against another player in a different uniform, that's a whole different story. But then again, we're in the final week of training camp. This is the last public practice.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, public practice for Packers training camp, and they've been going at it with other teams for about 2 weeks now, and I don't see where that aggressiveness came from. But
no, they have multiple joint practices, right? So they had 2.
Yeah.
And I think that just back to back, day after day, going against some other team, I think that just kind of wears on you. And like if they're talking smack and you're talking smack, and someone's temper's finally going to break. And I think that if they go at it just one game, that's the only time that they see each other.
Right.
But if you're there multiple days in a row, I think that is kind of where these fights tend to break out, is because it's just you're in the trenches. It tends to be the linemen
right
that get in the fights, and so I think it's just the repeated, going at it and trash talking, and next thing you know, some fights are happening. So.
Right. But other than that, like this week in general, very quiet week at practice.
Yeah.
Big news coming out here. Jordan Love did return to practice.
Yeah.
Last week we did say that he was out with a thumb injury, but not his throwing hand, but his non-throwing hand.
Yeah.
But he returned to practice. Very limited work though. I think he was not taking any snaps under the center, no shotgun snaps or anything, just taking the ball, kind of going through the motions and everything and
Yeah.
throwing.
He was doing the individual drills and then the 7-on-7 drills. So.
Yeah, which is good. Again, this is non-throwing thumb, so it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But
And Jordan Love did
yeah.
not participate in the fights.
No,
He said, with the injury, he wasn't necessarily going to partake in that.
But other than that, again, very quiet week at practice. No major injuries coming out of here. But just looking ahead to this game against the Seahawks, we're probably just not gonna. We're not gonna see the first team players much. And you're not going to see a lot of action from them, but you're going to see the players who are on the bubble, players who are fighting not for a starting position, but more of a your depth chart. You're looking at the guys that are like third, fourth on depth chart that you're going to turn to in case if your star players gets injured.
Exactly. Yeah. So it'll be. I think last week they sat close to 30 of the starters. It was like 29 or something like that. And then, this week I expect a lot of the same. And then, like you said, these depth players, that's where we're going to see, the Welch versus Simmons. We're going to see who's going to step up on, the linebacker position. And we're going to see Stackhouse. We're going to see these guys that are on the bubble. You see a lot of them probably.
Yeah.
And it's got to, kind of perform and try to secure a spot.
And that's one subject I kind of wanted to touch on is Isaiah Simmons and Christian Welch. What you are seeing here is Isaiah Simmons, like when he was signed, apparently he was like one of the big signings. But so far this preseason, he's had the highest amount of snaps, but we haven't seen his playmaking ability that you kind of saw from him coming out of college, because I think he was like a top 10 pick.
Yeah, he was number 8 in 2020. And yeah, he has all the athletic traits, is what they keep talking about, how amazing he is. It's just that maybe his instinct, like Welch, for example, he's an instinctual player. He'll go after, he'll hit, he'll find the hole, he'll do everything he needs to do. And then with Simmons, he's kind of got the ability to cover the field, but sometimes he's out of position. And when you see Simmons led the team with tackles last week, you say that's great. That means he was around the ball. But that also means that he played basically the whole game, because they're trying to get a better look at him, maybe try to get him some more snaps under his belt at the position that they're trying to, see if he can stay in Green Bay for.
He's playing more on defense, and the last couple of years, I believe he was just playing special teams, which, again, it's helpful to make the team if you can play special teams, but Christian Welch can play special teams as well. So if it comes down to it, the Packers might be wanting to look at somebody who can do both, which right now it looks like Welch has the upper hand against Simmons. Other position battles to watch. Again, I'm going to bring it up again because I'm a huge offensive guy and I love offensive football. I'm looking forward to Taylor Agurzma and Sean Clifford and them battling out for that, what could potentially be either the third QB spot or the practice squad spot, because we won't know until the Packers make their 53-man roster up whether or not they keep one or two or three quarterbacks, excuse me, because these past years you've seen the Packers just kind of keep 2 quarterbacks in the roster and keeping a third one on the practice squad. So by default, you're right now, Taylor Agurzma and Sean Clifford are battling out either for a roster spot no matter what, but it's going to depend whether or not it's going to be on an actual roster or the practice squad.
If we're going to guess, I would guess that they're only going to keep 2 on the 53-man roster, and then I think that one of those guys will end up on the practice squad, and it's a coin flip. Like I said earlier, I think it could be either one of them, because one of them has the system knowledge, one of them has potentially more upside, and that's kind of it. So whatever the Packers value more at this point in their careers, they're going to make that decision. I like to see Clifford because he's just a fun guy. You know, he hosts the every other Wednesday show, locally here, and kind of fun to listen to him. But I like to hear that Canadian guy host a show too.
Yeah. But then, again, same thing here. I love Sean Clifford. Again, he's like Clifford the Big Red Dog to me because he's a big, friendly huge man. Well, not huge man, but like he reminds me of Clifford the Big Red Dog in the way of his personality and that he's very, he's a lovable guy. I think just seeing that quarterback battle between those two, and they're probably going to get a ton of playing time. What I'm thinking is either one of the two, Clifford or Algersma, will get the first half, and then the other one will get the second half. Again, plenty of time to put something on the tape.
Yes.
Because one, if you make the team, great. If you don't make the team, though, you can put your tape out there. Your tape is out there for other teams to see. There are teams that need quarterbacks.
Here's a conspiracy theory. Maybe the Packers know that Sean Clifford has improved from last year's preseason performance, and that's why they only gave him one drive at the end of the game, because they don't want that tape to be out there, because they're going to probably try to sneak him on the practice squad.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. That conspiracy theory there. Who knows?
Another battle I'd like to see, and I'm sorry if I butcher his name, and I'm actually going to look him up here because that's why I can't even pronounce this guy's name. But Amar Johnson, my guy, that's actually a guy that I've loved during the preseason. He inspires me with his performance and everything. I really like what he's doing. And then Israel Akabanka.
Where is it? It's, yeah, that's close enough for me.
And a big guy. I don't know.
Apanakanda?
Something. You know what? We'll just call him Israel.
Yeah, I like that. That's what the announcers were saying. We'll go with that.
Yeah. But I'm interested to see those two battle it out because, again, here's another instance where the Packers are pretty much set at running. Well, I wouldn't say set at running back. You got injuries to Marshawn Lloyd.
Marshawn Lloyd, I mean, I think if he may go on injured reserve. I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know yet, do we? I don't think
we don't know yet. We haven't heard. But
and then you got, Chris Brooks. I know we talked last week and we forgot about Chris Brooks. I think he was really coming on last year at the end of the year with just the short yardage, and he can pass block really well. So I mean, you got him and Emmanuel Wilson and obviously Josh Jacobs. So Josh Jacobs is a lock, and then the other two.
It's up in the air. Who's your backup running back? Who's your third down back? I do think that Chris Brooks is that third down back.
I do, yes.
He
kind of like a Jamal Williams back in the day. Just give him the ball and get some short yardage and get that first down or whatever.
Very identical to Jamal Williams. Even the number 30.
Maybe that's why I think about him.
But I do think that he could be that third down back. Now the question is, again, you brought it up, whether or not Marshawn Lloyd will be up on IR. Is he going to get released? Are the Packers going to give up on him? He's had opportunities, and
I don't think they give up on him just simply because he is so talented, and they've talked very highly about it. And I think that if he was injured to a point where they have to put him on IR, I think that almost benefits him, because if they did have to make a decision, he might have to go on the practice squad and then maybe risk getting put on some other team, picked up.
Right.
So I think that you never want to be injured. You don't like it. But in this scenario, it actually might benefit him staying on the Packers if, he gets put on IR.
Yeah. And I think we talked about last week a little bit about seeing Marshawn Lloyd on the field. When we saw him on the field, even the last play before he got injured, you could see that he was able to, stretch the field, and he has that game-changing speed. But then he pulled up with that hamstring injury, and that's a whole nother thing. It's hard, and I feel bad for the guy. To play in the NFL, you have to produce results.
Yeah.
And now for the Packers, it's up to them whether or not they want to be patient with him and maybe see if they can just keep him on the roster, put him on IR, maybe, see if he can get healthier, but just a string of bad injuries for him. And a lot of people out there are putting that label on there that he's injury prone, which it's not a very good label at all. Kind of connecting off of the battles we're going to see on Sunday. The Packers next week will have to decide their 53-man roster. Now, Roy, I'm going to put you on spotlight here. I'm going to ask you, if you're a player that is on the bubble, what's your mentality going into this game?
Oh boy, prove it. Yeah, my mentality would be to prove it and to do, as Matt LaFleur says, you're 1/11th. I would say I would make sure to do that and just be as consistent as possible. Because, if you have one really good play, but then you have, 5 penalties, Anthony Melton, right?
Yeah.
But, let's say you have one really good play and then you have a string of 5 bad ones. That's not good. You got to be consistent and you got to do your job. So I think if I was a player going into this week on the bubble, I would definitely be focused on doing my job and doing it very consistent. And if something really awesome happens, great, but do not let the lows get too low.
Right. I think that's some really good advice for somebody who is on the bubble, on the 50. Because for us fans, we watch the game and everything. We love the game. But for the players out there who do play this game, this is your livelihood, your job.
Mm-hmm.
And for some players, it's their last chance at the NFL. And if they get cut, they move on. For some players who have the underdog mentality, though, they keep fighting for their dreams. They keep wanting to be in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And you have some feel good stories out there. I think my best advice to a player that is on the bubble is show what you got on your tape, because you never know who's out there watching, and that teams are looking out for you. Um, so just looking at this week's game, again, I said that it's probably going to be a low scoring game. And my prediction for this game, I think it's going to be a very low scoring game. I'm going with the Packers, though, 10-6. The reason why I say that is because I want at least one touchdown. And actually, I will be at the game. So if you see me, please feel free to say hi to me. That's okay. I'll be there with my sister, just kind of watching. And, you know, I, it's been said that you get what you pay for.
Did we just talk about that?
Unfortunately for me, I didn't pay a dime for these tickets. I got them for free. So I don't expect too much out of this game. So that's why. But if anything,
that's good logic.
I'm hoping for at least just a touchdown, so I can just stand up and cheer, and then maybe I'll leave at halftime. I don't know, or I'll just stay the whole game and just kind of watch the players run back and forth, and just watch the first team guys just chill and relax and
do interviews on the sideline.
Do interviews on the sideline. Side note here: this will be the second year that I've gone to a preseason game. The last preseason game. Last year, I went to the Ravens preseason game.
There was also joint practices with that.
Yeah,
right?
And there was also joint practices with that. I will say that was the hottest game I've ever been to, because I was sweating my butt off. And by the time I got back in my car, I started the car and blasted the air conditioning. That's how hot it was. But I stayed the whole game.
It was hotter than the Texans game?
I don't know about that.
That was pretty hot. I don't know.
I made the horrible decision of wearing blue jeans that day. I should have worn shorts at that point, but yeah, that's my prediction. Packers with the win, 10-6 over the Seahawks. Roy,
Well, I am going to make sure you have fun at that game, and I'm going to say 27-17 Packers. 27. Yeah, they're going to score a lot, and it'll be good.
Thank you guys for watching this. Really appreciate you guys watching this. Again, we'll be back hopefully next week.
Yeah.
Hopefully we may survive the week again.
Hopefully it's not too hot of a game.
Yeah, hopefully it's not too hot of a game. Hopefully the Packers come out with a victory, leave with a 2-1 record, but then it's go time.
That's right.
It's go time. And for those of you out there who are watching, me and Roy will be at that Detroit game.
First ever opener game I've ever been to, so I'm excited.
Fingers crossed for good weather, but we'll show up before that game too. We'll do an episode, hopefully.
Yeah.
One of us will do an episode.
Yeah.
We'll see. It might be me solo, it might be Roy solo.
Maybe.
It might be nothing, but we'll provide you with something at least. But we'll see you next week, and until next time.
1, 2, 3.
Go Pack, go!